Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Rick Blackwell. Welcome back to Midpoint. Veteran broadcast journalist and author Jane Velez-Mitchell. Hi, Jane. Now, Bill Cosby's media team wants to silence any and every mention of his alleged sexual assaults. We've seen his wife, Camille, defend him publicly. We've seen accusers take center stage, but the man himself has been pretty tight-lipped and unavailable. I know you've been following this story. There seems to be a backlash from the Cosby camp blaming the media for giving his accusers a stage in which to blame Mr. Cosby before he can defend himself. Do you see any issue with the way in which he's been portrayed?
Well, I have to say, I don't think more than 24 women who have told very similar stories are lying. Certainly, there is a pattern in these stories that is quite remarkable. The idea that there was a trust gained and then a hint or an insinuation that a career might be boosted and then getting a loan in a private place and then in many of the cases drugging allegedly and then sexual assault or sexual abuse and then a campaign of intimidation afterwards. So I find that statistically, we've been talking about statistics, the chance of everybody making up the same story is highly remote. And I do know that having worked on the show Celebrity Justice for some years, during a time when we did cover this story, there were two sets of criminal justice systems, one for the rich and famous and the other for everyone else, because money talks, because fame talks, because power talks, because Bill Cosby has always had very powerful lawyers, the most powerful in America, and ditto for agents and publicists, and those people have connections, and they know how to reach out their tentacles and get stuff silenced, and they also know how to go after people and discredit them.
Jane, but you may have been on top of it, but a lot of times these allegations surface. There was really a reluctance to report them, a reluctance that now the internet has kind of circumvented, but is the media at all to blame for not really properly covering the initial accusations from his accusers?
Well, I have to say that sometimes people look askance and say, oh, one of the accusers went to a tabloid. Sometimes women go to tabloids because they're the only ones who will take the accusation seriously. To wit, I worked at Celebrity Justice. We took the allegation seriously. We reported both sides, but we did have the guts to report the story. And so many other media organizations, when somebody threatens them with a lawsuit, when somebody calls their boss, when somebody uses time-honored techniques of intimidation to clamp down on a story, they collapse because journalists know they get sued, and if for some reason they're wrong and it's a he said, she said, their career is over. So, of course, I think this emphasizes the importance, and I'm not in any way, shape, or form casting aspersions on these accusers, but it's so important to go to the police because then
Jane,
you have a record. And so many of these women didn't want to go to police for understandable reasons, because going up against Bill Cosby is a David and Goliath battle you're likely to lose.
All right, I want to switch gears a little bit because I know you've been following this story. The New York furriers are fighting back against demonstrators protesting outside their stores. 3 store owners were charged with reckless endangerment after bombarding anti-fur activists with bleach and ammonia. What do you think about what's going on right now in New York on this issue?
Well, Rick, I have to say that I'm a vegan. I'm an animal advocate. I don't wear leather. I don't believe that fur should be legal. I passed 2 women wearing head-to-toe fur on the street today, and I said, shame on you for wearing fur. Now, am I violent because I'm expressing my First Amendment rights, or is the death of 300 animals to make one coat that is not necessary in today's society? They don't use fur coats to climb Mount Everest. There are other fabrics that don't involve the slaughter of animals. And, I've looked at the undercover videos as a journalist of what happens to these animals. There is no such thing as humane slaughter, whether it's anal electrocution, suffocation, trapping, gassing. It's all horrific, and it's unnecessary. These animal rights activists have a right to speak for voiceless animals. In fact, they indeed feel they have an obligation, and to throw bleach on them allegedly is outrageous.
All right, so we can agree that that's outrageous, but once again, always opinionated. Jane Velez-Mitchell, telling it like it is right here on Newsmax. Thanks so much, Jane. We really appreciate your comments today. All right, Jane Velez-Mitchell joining us right here on Newsmax TV. Coming up, did Jeb Bush just take another step towards running for president? Jeb Bush has been busy releasing those emails and quitting some board associations. We'll talk about the former Florida governor on this Tuesday edition of Midpoint. I'm Rick Blackwell, in for Ed Berliner.